Hello, sixth graders. We are working on our next concept and our next lesson in the book. So we're on chapter 1, lesson 3, and we're working on rates. As just a reminder, there are 12 chapters in this book, and chapter 1 has 7 lessons. So we're 3 out of 7 done in the first chapter. Before you start, I recommend that you do this assignment with a calculator. I want to remind you also that if you don't have a calculator at home, in your Google Classroom under the materials and websites topic, there is a link to an online calculator. You can also just Google online calculator. Any device you're working on should have a built-in calculator if you don't have a physical calculator. All right, let's start. So there's 2 new vocab terms that you need to know for this assignment. The first one is a rate. And a rate is a ratio that compares 2 quantities or numbers of different kinds of units. Might sound more complicated than it is. So familiar rates that you already know are miles per hour. Please note, miles is 1 unit, hour is a different unit. So it's distance per time. Or heartbeats per minute. So that's 2 different units, heartbeats in one case and minute in the other. The second term you need to know, and the real focus of this chapter, is on unit rates. And a unit rate is a denominator of 1. It's a rate that has a denominator of 1. So, if I ask you how many hours in one day, and you say 24 hours in one day, you're giving me a unit rate, 24 over 1. If you're a baseball player and I ask you how many hits you have this season, or how many hits you have in 12 games, that's not a unit rate. But if I say how many hits do you have per game in one game, and you had a 4-hit game, you could say 4 over 1. But a unit rate must be over 1. So how do we find a unit rate? That's mostly what you're practicing today. We're going to look at an example from the book. Samantha picked 45 oranges in 5 minutes. Write this as a unit rate. Well, you just start by writing your rate. Looks a lot like a ratio. 45 oranges over 5 minutes. It's technically both a ratio and a rate. It's a ratio because it compares 2 numbers. It's a rate because it has 2 different units, oranges and minutes. And then you just find that common factor that would bring you down to 1 in the denominator. Divide by the bottom number. 45 divided by 5 is 9, and 5 divided by 5 is 1. So 9 oranges per 1 minute. The unit rate would be 9 oranges per 1 minute. And the reason this is a unit rate is because it's over 1. What if a unit rate doesn't easily reduce to 1, though? So let's do an example of that. The Australian dragonfly can travel 18 miles in 30 minutes. How far can the dragonfly travel in 1 minute? Okay, 18 miles, 30 minutes. There's a couple ways to do this. You could do it as a decimal. You could do it as a fraction. We're going to do it as a fraction. So what you might realize is, man, I can reduce that by 6, and I can get down to 3 over 5. 6 goes into 18, 6 goes into 30, but that leaves me a fraction. It's not over 1. Well, you can also think of this as 3/5, so it can't be reduced to a whole number. There's no number that's going to bring it down to an easy 1. But you can also think of that as 3/5 of a mile. So you could write this as 3/5 mile per every minute. Let's see that again. Dragonfly can travel 18 miles in 30 minutes. How far can it travel in 1 minute? Okay, 18 over 30. A factor that will reduce it is 6. Brings it down to the most reduced fraction, but I still can't easily get down to 1. And what I end up with because I cannot take 3/5 and make it into a nice simple number over 1. So I can just write 3/5 mile to 1 minute. You can just leave it like that. It'd be a fraction 3/5 over 1 to every 1 minute. Wait, some of you are going to be still confused because it was a fraction and that makes you scared. So I want to point something out. In your book, if you're using the online book, I got that example off page 32, and you're looking at a picture of page 32. There's also a little tutor icon. You'll notice this throughout your book. Whenever you see that little icon, you can actually click on it. So I'm going to jump into my book, my online book right now, and show you what this does. Okay, here I am. Page 32. And there's a little tutor icon. Here's another little tutor icon. That is your indication. This icon itself is not a button, but if you notice, it matches the button at the bottom of your screen, so you can actually click on the button at the bottom of your screen, and it will take you into a series of videos. The videos are going to give you additional examples. So when you get to some concept in the video, you can either rewatch this video, or if you notice in your book, you can look for the little tutor icon. It'll take you to these videos. Click on a video.
Hi, this is Mr. Rutherford. Jose picked 54 apples in 6 minutes. Write this rate as a unit rate. So here we're given a rate which is 54 apples in 6 minutes.
All right, I'm going to leave it at that. There are additional videos that explain concepts. So if you get to something that stresses you out, you can email me, but you can always jump into the book for additional examples. We're going to jump back into the presentation now. All right, so again, look for that tutor button. Okay, now the next type of question they're going to ask you in this assignment is to compare unit rates. So a hummingbird's heart beats at a rate of 7,500 beats per 30 minutes. A human baby's heart rate is about 130 beats per minute. How many more beats per minute is the hummingbird's heart rate? So it's asking you to look at a hummingbird's rate of heartbeats versus a baby's. So step 1, find the unit rates. Because I had a hummingbird's heart rate over 30 minutes, I just divided both the top, 7,500, and the bottom, 30, by 30. So 7,500 divided by 30 is going to tell me that a hummingbird's heart rate beats at 250 beats per 1 minute. Now the baby's heart rate is already a unit rate. It's already 130 beats per 1 minute. Now they want to find the difference, so it's a subtraction problem. You're looking to find the difference between two rates, so I'm just going to take that 250 beats for the hummingbird minus 130 beats for the baby, and it's 120 beats more per 1 minute. But the book gets tricky, and it might ask you a question where it says, what about in an hour? There's a couple ways to do this. It's the same process. Find the unit rate, 250 beats per 1 minute for a hummingbird, 130 beats per 1 minute for a baby. It's a difference of 120 beats per 1 minute, and they're asking you for an hour. Some of you can guess what you do. Just times it by 60. Take 120 and times it by 60 because there's 60 minutes in an hour. Your answer to this question would be 7,200, or 60 times 120. All right, assignment is pages 35 and 37 in your book. Again, there's an answer key for you to write your answers. I expect this problem to be, this assignment to be a little tricky, so we're going to work on this one a little bit together at the meet, because again, I expect this one to be a little bit tricky. If you have questions, you can always email me, but one question I want to tackle is question number 8. It's a freebie for watching the video. I'm going to give you the answer to number 8. It's on page 35. The Love and Lemon Company sells a 4-gallon jug of lemonade for $24. The Sweet and Sour Company sells an 8-pack of 1-quart bottles of lemonade for $16. Which company has a higher unit price? oh my gosh, it's not really fair because in order to solve this, you have to know that 4 quarts equal 1 gallon. So this first set of numbers they tell you is 4 gallons, $24. And then they switch it to quarts on you for $16. So I just did it all in gallons. I said $24 for 4 gallons. So if I divide each, the 24 and the 4, by that denominator, by 4, I can figure out that it's $6 for 1 gallon. And then looking at the Sweet and Sour Company, well, $16 for 8 quarts, that is the same as $16 for 2 gallons. If there's 4 quarts to a gallon, 8 quarts would be 2 gallons. So I said $16 divided by 2, that's $8 per 1 gallon. Now they're asking you which one's more expensive. So is 6 more expensive for a gallon, or is $8 more expensive for a gallon? Hopefully you say $8. Sweet and sour is the answer. It is more expensive per gallon. So for number 8, the answer is sweet and sour is more expensive. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching the video. Again, this is a little bit of a tough concept for students when it's brand new. I guarantee you can figure it out, and I'm happy to help. So send me an email if you have any specific questions on any of your assignment, and I will email you back with a detailed explanation, or I'll see you at the meet where we can do a little extra practice together.